At this point, I think we've lost count how many times the tried and true Souls-like formula has been remixed. We've gotten Dark Souls with guns, anime Souls, Dark Souls but it's Star Wars, 8-bit Souls, and my new favorite, Dark Souls but you're a crab? As a sequel to Salt and Sanctuary, Salt and Sacrifice is the latest Souls-like to try and put a new spin on the subgenre. But it doesn't stop at Souls-like. This ambitious indie brings in elements of Metroidvanias and Monster Hunter, and yes, you can play it in 2-player co-op. So naturally, we're here as the co-op bros to see how it fares, and if it's for you and your best friends.
Watch out, stop down! Whoa, it's gonna get me. Okay, kill him, bro. Kill him! Yes! Yes!
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh, dude.
No,
I
dude.
just went all the way back to the beginning of the level. Oh my word.
Oh, God!
Oh no! Oh my boy! Oh my boy!
Oh god!
Oh, it's happening to me now! Oh, he immediately just picks me up.
Right off the top, I can say with confidence that one of Salt and Sacrifice's best features is its ease of play. Playing with each other is easy, straightforward, and we never once face a bug of any kind. All you have to do is get through the usual tutorial, talk to some people in Partner's Vale, your hub world throughout the campaign, and then head on over to the cooperation board. Put in a password, host the game, and your friend can join by using the same password. That's it. You can play the entirety of the game from here on out in co-op. You have shared progression, and I haven't mentioned yet that it's also local co-op too. Again, I think the team over at SKA Studios deserves some credit, because not all Souls-likes get this right. If only that design philosophy carried over to the rest of the game, but more on that later.
Just like a trap move.
Crap, I'm trying to use my freaking thing. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to use my thing and I got hit by the axle trap. What is happening?
I got it.
Oh my god, this is just never ending. Rest. Oh my god, that was hilarious.
As I mentioned at the top, Salt and Sacrifice has a lot going on. It starts like a familiar Souls-like though. You pick a class and venture out to fight a boss that's meant to totally wreck you. Typical. Shortly afterwards, you find yourself at Partner's Vale. You're told you're spell-marked and that your mission is to hunt mages, normal humans who became obsessed with magic and then turn into all sorts of monstrosities. Also typical.
Oh my god!
It's these mage hunts that become the bulk of the gameplay loop. You'll use the portal from the hub to enter one of the 5 levels where the mages roam. These levels are huge and non-linear, and much to the detriment of the game, there's no map or fast travel. Yeah, I know. But we'll get to that later. In order to start a hunt, you first have to find a clue, typically a corpse, after which a vague waypoint will guide you forward. You'll spend most of your time chasing the boss, encountering it a couple times, and trying to deal as much damage as humanly possible. Eventually, you'll chase the boss into its final arena, where you'll face off with all the damage you've dealt thus far carrying over. Afterwards, you'll be able to go back to camp and level up and craft weapons and armor from the various materials you got from defeating said boss. If that sounds familiar, yes, it's very much like Monster Hunter. And that's pretty much the main loop of the game. In order to progress the story, however, you'll typically have to face a certain number of mages and some mandatory bosses, with the latter usually resulting in unlocking some sort of traversal item that allow you to reach new areas. Yes, very much like a Metroidvania. It took us a little under 15 hours to beat the campaign, which will launch into New Game Plus immediately afterwards. Other than PvP, I don't think there's much else to do outside of continuing to work on your build. But that's easily the best part of the co-op, so let's get into that.
Whoa. Very cool. Very cool.
Build crafting, as Gabe alluded to, is the standout feature as far as co-op features are concerned if you're not including the ease of play that I talked about earlier. You might be a little overwhelmed when you first sit down and look at your skill tree, the different elements of weapons, the ability to enhance your armor, the different artifacts you can equip. It can be a lot. I mean, have you looked at this skill tree? It is not your average skill tree, it is much more akin to a skill web, as we like to call it. But I'd say the buildcraft in this game is complicated in the right way, and both of us early on still felt confident in what we were doing and where our characters were going. And the nuance helped us feel like there was always something we were building towards and becoming more powerful as the game went on. Plus, getting your armor and weapons may be modeled after Monster Hunter, but it's not nearly as grindy. No, there are no large beast gems with a 5% drop here. I'm really annoyed by that right now in Sunbreak, but that's besides the point. It only takes at most 2 to 3 boss hunts before you have everything you need in a set. So the build crafting is good, but what about the combat? Do the builds feel meaningful during gameplay? And that depends on what part of the game you're talking about. The boss fights are where the 2D action combat can come together well. I ended up creating a two-handed heavy armor tank build while Gabe went for his usual spell casting. These choices hugely impacted how we took down a boss. I'd usually be up close and personal, weaving in and out of a boss's reach, pulling attention away from Gabe while he chipped away at their health from afar. The revive system also kept us in a lot of battles, and it's a nice cooperative touch. Plus, there is a ton of diversity on display with the bosses, no two feel too alike. These were definitely the highlights of our time playing, and is almost worth the price of admission. Almost, unfortunately, being the key word here.
He's on me, he's on me.
Got him. Let's go, dude.
Yeah, that was close.
Welcome to the
awesome.
co-op bros, bruh.
So on paper, Salt and Sacrifice checks up a lot of boxes in terms of co-op. However, there's a couple red flags that end up dragging the experience down. While yes, there's a ton of build options and taking on bosses can be a tense cooperative challenge, the combat in between falls short. The majority of the basic enemies are nothing more than a nuisance and show the weakness of the 2D combat. We notice that most encounters simply divulge into stunlocking the enemy before they can stunlock you. The bigger enemies though have way more poise and can easily turn the tables by stunlocking you to death. No amount of coordination makes this any less frustrating, and sometimes it feels downright unfair.
Let me get no. Oh my god, my patience. I'm walking away, dude.
Speaking of frustrating, there's a lot of mechanics in Salt and Sacrifice that clash, but one that really affects the co-op is to focus on the Metroidvania-like platforming. There's a ton of timed platforms in this game that are obviously geared more towards single player. There's also a couple different traversal options like aerial vents and grappling hooks. These would be fine in moderation, but they're a big focus and can be super punishing. We often ran into a situation where one of us missed a finicky grappling hook that resulted in them plummeting to their deaths and thus leaving the other to find the next checkpoint. Or worse, we'd both plummet to our deaths.
Just
Oh,
hold
no,
it, bro.
these
Just
again.
hold it. Just hold it. Oh.
Oh no, I did the same thing. Oh wow.
Oh.
Oh hey dude.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
I'll admit, this was pretty funny the first couple times, but quickly became one of the more irritating aspects of the game. Overall, the Metroidvania aspects cause more disruption in co-op rather than being a meaningful addition. In truth, that side of Salt and Sacrifice affected way more than just the co-op though.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot imagine having to play this game in single player. So the platforming would often cause one or both of us to plummet to our death, but no biggie, right? Well, remember how Gabe said there was no map and no fast travel system? Those two design choices were way more impactful than you'd think. Now here's the thing. These maps are not small at all, and by no means linear. This is a Metroidvania after all, so that naturally means there's a lot of backtracking to unlock new paths. So the lack of a map meant we were constantly having to try and remember where we had been, where we hadn't been, and where any locked doors or traversal elements had been that we would need to go back to later. And if you die and don't have any sort of close checkpoint, good luck getting all the way back to your Salt, this game's version of experience points. No fast travel meant anytime you want to save those precious experience points, you'd have the tough decision of whether or not you want to risk moving forward or just go back to Partner's Vale, and then start back at the beginning of the level. Some shortcuts do help alleviate this, but it all just felt exhausting by the end of the game. Because even with shortcuts, you're still contending with the incredibly annoying platforming sections and loads of traps. Like, oh my word, we got hit by so many traps.
Wait. Oh, dude, I saw that.
Oh, hello.
Oh.
Trap. I gotta go. Oh, crap. Oh, bro. We're here for an. Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Yep, that's,
Oh what?
Bro, are you serious? That's up here. Yeah. Oh, and I got trapped. Oh, my.
I'm going
Just
down.
gotta keep going until.
Yep. Damn, I low-key wanted. I got it. Well, of course.
Oh, and it got me.
Yeah.
It got me too. We're doing it. Oh, frick.
Oh, we're
You're
doing that.
joking. Oh, no. Get up there. No.
And so you're falling to your death again and again and again. It's just super disappointing, because something as simple as a map or a fast travel system would have really helped put this game over the top.
It's not often that we play a game where most of the co-op features are there, and yet the game itself just isn't fun. But that's definitely the case with Salt and Sacrifice. It deserves some credit for the seamless co-op and trying to do this crazy 3-way genre experiment, but ultimately, it just didn't work for us. It sold at a humble price point of $20 US, but even that isn't enough for us to recommend it. At least not without issuing some significant warnings. If you're able to suffer through the Metroidvania aspects and some lackluster combat here and there, then this might be for you. Otherwise, there's no shortage of co-op Souls-like out there for you and your best friends to try.
Thanks as always for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, please like or subscribe below, and if you want to stay up to date on our schedule and streams, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. We'll be streaming Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak with Christian and Jake for the next few weeks, and We Were Here Forever occasionally too, just Gabe and I. Expect a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle review out sometime in the next week or two. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.
Bring it in here, bro. Bring it in here. Come on now.
Come on.
Come on now.
Hey, you too, buddy.
Just offer it up. Just offer it up. Hey, man, don't disrespect my boy, okay? Don't disrespect my boy. hey, dude, hey, come on, man. Don't disrespect my boy.
She's just like looking at you.